Farrar, and then Julie, and then Dr. Norton, and then Dr. McLean?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Sienna Farrar. I'm one of the study abroad advisors, and I'll be there on the program with you. I went to Tulane and studied public health and anthropology.
Hi, I'm Julie Scott, and I work with DIS, where the Tulane in Stockholm program will be hosted. And so Dr. Wee works closely with our staff and faculty in arranging the program.
Yeah, so I'm Guy Norton. I'm the physics instructor. I've been with Tulane from like '97, teaching all aspects of the physics for a lot of pre-meds. I don't know how many pre-meds are out there, but definitely taught my fair share. So looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible in the summer.
And for the record, he retired at the end of 2019 and happened to be talking to me and Dr. Henry, and we told him what we were up to going to Stockholm. He says, how can I get into this? Yeah. And we said, well, let's get you into it. So he was supposed to come with us in 2020 as well. So we got him out of retirement. He's willing to give up all his sailboating and building and all the great things he does to come with us.
Absolutely. It's going to be great.
Go ahead, Tim.
All right, so I guess I'm last. So I'm Tim McLean. I'm professor of practice in the ecology and evolutionary biology department. I've only been teaching, I don't know, for 6 years. So I'm still a newbie. But looking forward to the experience. This will be my first time.
Cool. So maybe just a real quick show of hands, and any of you guys who we don't have your face, we're happy to see your faces and stuff, but how many of you guys are, I'm going to make the assumption most of you are science and engineering of some ilk, right? Okay. And how many of you are neuroscience majors? How about psychology? Okay. Cell and Molec? Okay. E-bio? How about one of the engineering majors? Okay, and I probably missed some chemistry, physics, math, probably not so much. What did I miss?
Nothing important.
All right, so you've got, yeah, cool. Okay, well, let me do there's a couple of people in the chat. My internet's behaving horribly. Yeah, jump in as you need to. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, and so let me do this. I'm sharing the screen. This is a PowerPoint that we collaborated on. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So again, this is me. I got lots of titles, but that doesn't mean much. You can, just know me as Dr. Wee. And then Julie, you guys met. Julie and I have been working together for at least 8 years. I got to go to Copenhagen in 2012, and I was totally sold on DIS as a student organization. They just celebrated their 60th anniversary, actually, when we were in Stockholm in 2019. They're just a very, very well-run organization. So I can say so much about it and never enough. So let me see if I can. Yeah, so this is about DIS. Julie, if you want to maybe jump in on this part, because there's a lot written here, but I'll go ahead with the DIS.
Yeah, just really quickly. This is actually, you can see a photo of the of Stockholm and our facilities there. And as Dr. Wee said, we have been around for about 60 years. We actually opened in Stockholm in 2016. We're located right in the heart of Stockholm, and this is really a little bit about DIS. I'll cover a couple of things later in the later slides, but I think all of the things that we do at DIS are kind of modeled by what Tulane does when they come in terms of like experiential learning. They have a lot of field studies. It's definitely not a summer off. It's pretty intense.
It's a summer on.
Yeah, definitely a summer on. Yeah. And then it's interesting to have the Scandinavian and European perspectives in the classes.
So here.
I'll say it again. Please don't ever promise a case or contact
Okay.
that we will provide them.
So, and one thing, if you guys have questions as we're doing this, please just jump in with questions, okay? Because I'm kind of trying to watch your questions as well as what's going on here. So this is these are pictures. You might even know some of these guys. These are pictures that I took. This one, I think Dr. Henry took this one, and probably this one as well. This was last year's group, and the year, yeah, I guess these were all three of these are from last year's group. We've been to Stockholm twice now. And we've partnered, like I said, we've partnered with Tulane and DIS for 10 years easily. And Dr. Henry and I led the first group. We actually were in Copenhagen in 2014, 15, 16, and 17. And then 18 and 19, we were in Stockholm. And interestingly, students of ours who have gone during the semester have often been hired. We had Jenna Bates there. Some of these guys, actually, you might know them. They were bloggers when they were at DIS during the semester. They posted some blogs and had great stories to tell. Melissa Herman was another one. There was another one who got an internship in housing. So Tulane students have actually gone on and partnered and gotten jobs at DIS as internships. But these are pictures. This is us in the Gamla, which is the old city, and it's front of the Nobel Museum. That a special exhibit about Martin Luther King, which was great. I think I spent like 3 hours in there watching that one. This is a group that was going kayaking. That's Macy. I think this is Ty, and I can't tell. I think those might be I can't tell who that is. And then this was a group where they had gone. They'd gone on this was in the subway. All of the subways in Stockholm have amazing artwork, and we've got a couple pictures where you'll see the subway. And this was a group, they were waiting on the train platform to go on a trek. And again, you may recognize some of these students too, because they're all people majoring in psych, neuro. He was actually sociology, I think, was doing a minor in psych. Yeah. So that's that group. And then the program details about itself. It's going to be June 11th to July 11th. And I will say this, we are making the assumption that we're going, okay? If Tulane tells us you can't go, we can't go, okay? They say they're going to tell us by February or March, okay? And I might defer to Sienna if she, I think we've got a slide or two about COVID later, but just we're going on the assumption that we're going. Okay, and so these would be the dates. You would take two of the 6 classes. Again, they're taught by Dr. Norton, Dr. McLean, and myself. But what's nice is we get guest lectures. So we'll have somebody come in and talk about Scandinavian healthcare. We'll have people talking about something related to physics, something related to some of the e-bio classes, something related to neuroscience. And so what's really cool about DIS is they are so well connected to the community that they bring physicians, they bring scientists, they bring people that work in government. They do all kinds of, they've got all these connections for people to come in and talk to you. So as much as you will love having us as your instructors, you will get access to a lot of other people that are really well informed and can talk about that. And we'll do some field trips out and about around the city. We will get, I'm assuming we'll have this rail pass, transportation passes that literally can get you an hour or two away from where we are, all with one pass. You know, it's trains, it's the ferry that goes through all the water, buses, you know, trams, all of that can go on these passes. And that lets us really get you out and seeing what's going on in the surrounds. There will be other students there taking DIS classes because they have their own summer program. So you will see some other American students, as well as our school is in the music. It's the Royal School for Music. And so you see all these great musicians around, probably get some free concerts and stuff too. Anyways, but that's the specifics of the program itself. And let me stop in case people ask questions at this point. If you can't tell, I get excited when I start talking about this. So, okay, so here's the classes. Dr. McLean is teaching the 2 e-bio classes. Now, the way this is going to work is you'll take the lecture, but if you need the lab or if you want to take the lab, then you'll work with the e-bio department to take the lab either in the fall or the spring. Okay, but the lecture itself is a standalone lecture. With physics, that's a 4-credit lecture lab. So you'll take one of the 2 physics, either the algebra based or the calc based, and then you will get your letter grade for the whole course in December, because you will do the lab in the fall. And again, you'll work with the physics department to schedule that. Okay, so this is a lecture lab. Most students take the lecture and lab, but you don't actually have to take the lab at the same time as the lecture. You can do that again in the fall or the spring. Whereas with physics, you do need to take physics 1 lecture in the fall. And then I'm teaching brain and behavioral endocrinology. Brain and behavior is a prerequisite for behavioral endocrinology. So usually I don't let students take them both. I know a couple of you guys have had me for animal behavior. We could talk about that. If somebody really wanted to take both at the same time, we would just have to see. I'm not a fan of it, but I wouldn't totally rule it out. But usually what students will do is they'll do, say, physics and e-bio, or one of the physics classes and one of the neuro classes, some combination of that. Okay, so, and again, this is what the classroom looks like. I have to admit, this was a staged picture. It was one of our last classes, and we realized we had pictures of all of our pictures were of us doing very cool things, but we didn't have anything in the classroom. So Dr. Henry was given a diversity of life lecture, and he agreed to put his hand up and look like he was really doing this. So, but you can see the classes are small. They're great classrooms, lots of technology in the room. All the walls, you could write on them with marker, which is really fun. Dr. Norton, you could do physics. You can have physics stuff all on all the walls. You can have your formulas.
Good. I'll need a lot of space.
Yeah. And then this is the Natural History Museum, great Natural History Museum. We took the groups that Dr. Henry was teaching there. So certainly diversity of life, that may be one of the field trips to take students to, because it's an amazing Natural History Museum. They have a lot of regular exhibits as well as some special exhibits about the Arctic and things like that. Again, our classes meet in the music school. Julie might be able to say this in Swedish a lot better than I can try, but it's basically means the Royal School of Music, right? Is that what it means? Yeah, yeah. And then here we are. She's a DIS instructor from Copenhagen who we've become very good friends with. She came up and was leading a bat tour. So she studies bats. And so this picture was probably taken at 9 or 10 at night. I'm just saying, it was like a long time. So we went out about 10 o'clock at night and walked around until it got dark enough to see the bat. So that's what this one was. This picture was taken actually in Uppsala, which is about an hour north of Stockholm, where we'd gone. This is the home of Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus is the one that did the binomial nomenclature, like genus, species name. And so we'd gone up to Uppsala. We went there and saw his stuff, as well as a medical museum, which was great. So I hope we can go back to the medical museum. And then I had taken just a couple of the students. We went to the Karolinska Institute again, which was a couple bus rides to get there from where our classes from here. And we walked around the Karolinska Institute, which is an amazing research facility. And I've also partnered with them. DIS has good partnerships with them as well. So again, all of this very close to where we're all going to be living, and very easy to get around to go to these different places.
Beth, do you see the questions? Have all these questions been answered about?
Oh, I don't think so. Let me look at the chat. Yeah, thanks. So for physics, is it the full year course in 6 weeks? No, it's 1 semester, Amanda. Yeah, so you would take physics 2 in the spring.
Yes.
If you're planning on also staying abroad for the fall, would it be possible to take the lab later? For physics, you would have to take physics 1 lab fall of your senior year, but I don't know why we couldn't do that. Dr. Norton maybe could just give me the grade and I could post it, the following year to do that. Dr. Norton, you have any comment on that one?
No, so it depends on if you're taking the calculus based, they did have it off semesters, so you could take it not necessarily always in the fall.
I think they changed that though. I think they were only doing that when James was teaching it on the off semester.
So they're not doing that anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, so then yeah, you'd have to wait until the fall comes back around.
And also to Brooklyn's question, physics 2 is not likely to be offered in the fall. I don't think, unless, and you would know by, I mean, I could find that out too. It's not likely to, because physics 1 pretty much is fall and physics 2 is in the spring.
Yes, yes.
You guys good on that? Amanda, Allie, and Brooklyn, did that answer your questions? Good. Okay. Okay, so in terms of DIS housing, here's the group. This is what this bottom picture shows what the rooms look like. Most students are in doubles. The place we're staying, and Julie and Sienna, help me on this, I'm assuming we're at the Biz Apartments again?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. So these apartments, this is what it looks, this is the little front part of the building is like right here. And these are just some other apartments nearby. It's what it is it's like, it's almost like apartments, but hotels sort of, and that, they come in and they change the sheets once a week and they'll clean it and stuff, but it's not like it's every day. You got to keep it somewhat clean. But they'll wash the sheets and everything, give you clean towels and all that. But it's got a kitchen facility. So most students will cook either together with their roommates or sometimes several of them. Some people went out, and a lot of it depends on how much money you want to spend on food. You could spend a whole lot of money on food if you ate out a lot, because Scandinavia is pretty expensive. But it's also ways you can really save your money by working together and kids cooking together and things like that. The facilities are there. DIS also does have an amazing lunch. I often could eat lunch at DIS and I had leftovers I'd eat for dinner, and I was plenty fine, but plenty opportunities for grocery stores nearby to get food that you can cook together. Sometimes it's people's first time cooking for themselves, which is always interesting. This picture was actually taken. We started a tradition a few years ago where we picked one day where the students cooked and did a potluck and the faculty showed up, and I think we brought paper plates or something, right? And it was great. One year the potluck had an awful lot of spaghetti and another year it had an awful lot of nachos, but it's okay. We were fine. There's always chocolate. So somebody brings chocolate. And then this is sitting, we just were having pizza. I think this was one of the opening activities. We just ordered pizza, and we were sitting in the lobby of this place. But very nice facilities. Again, if you talk to anybody who went, they can give you a little bit of a heads up of what it was like. Yeah, laundry facilities are there. Laundry was free. There were single rooms available. We discouraged the single rooms because we didn't want people to feel like they weren't connecting. Some of the rooms actually had even like 3 to a room. One room actually had 5 to a room, but I think we decided we didn't want to do that one. But good facilities. If it's, we're talking Scandinavia here. So, any questions about housing? And that's included in the price. So yeah, Tim, go ahead.
Do any of the beds come in extra long, maybe?
We'll have to ask. It's, in the dorm, they used to make long sheets for freshmen. I don't know if they still do that or not. I don't remember we had to buy extra long sheets for my son when he went to college. But if your toes stick out, we'll just get you an extra blanket. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so in case you didn't know where we were going, right? This is Europe here, and Stockholm is right there. Okay, not far from other parts of Europe, and so a lot of students do travel before or after, and we like to encourage that if it's something that you guys want to do. Hey, Jonah, I just realized you're Jamie's friend, right? I talked to you before. Now that I see that, cool. And then when you zero in on Stockholm, you see there's just a lot of islands and a lot of water. Okay, you are never far from water, and it's so easy to get around. You can see that there are bridges and roadways, but again, all these lines, I don't know if you guys can see them on this picture, all those lines are ferries and boats that can take you everywhere. Okay, I got to be careful. I'll get too excited talking about it. If you go a little farther afield from Stockholm itself, These pictures were taken at Archipelago, which was a very cool place. Again, I hope we can take you guys there. It's an art museum surrounded by woods. And here we were, you know, we went in, we had brunch, which was amazing. We got the tour of the art museum, and then we were out walking around in the woods, and actually some of us went swimming too. We were cold, but bold. This is a picture right within Stockholm itself. It's where they do the concerts for the Nobel Prize Museum. I think it might be where they actually give the Nobel Prize. Here, Sequoia and Juliana took this as their little selfie or whatever, right downtown in the Gamlastan. And then this is one of the islands. Julie, this is where we had the big reunion, the big anniversary thing. This is one of the islands, a 25-minute ferry ride away from downtown Stockholm. And you can see you're out in the woods and on the water and all that. So real easy to get out in the woods and in nature. The Swedes love that. They also love their coffee. I took this picture. We happened to arrive on National Sweden Day, and these are the amazing, the cinnamon buns or cardamom buns, and they had all these Swedish flags in them. Fika simply means, it's actually, I learned this, that if you switch the words around, K-A-F-I, you get coffee or some version of coffee. So fika is just the word flipped around. And I think it was a rebellious thing back in the day, like several hundred years ago, that they were told that coffee was going to be taxed. And they're like, well, too bad, we're still drinking our coffee. And I think Swedes drink more coffee per capita than anybody in the world. But they love their coffee. And we made sure that we took these coffee breaks. This is the group. Zoe is actually an American who works for DIS. She was one of our partners. And then this guy is an American expat who's been teaching in Stockholm for, I don't know, 15, 20 years or something. And he was talking to the group. I think he teaches an economics class, and he was talking to us about local economic and political situations. But we tried to do this 2 or 3 times a week, where we would have lots of coffee and tea and cookies and treats and stuff like that. Sometimes the fika buns, just as a way to just get the group together to kind of connect and have people ask questions.
Water.
I'm going to mute that one. I'm not sure what that's about. So anyways, and this was actually done where we had taken the group. This was also in Uppsala. We had taken the group to a place where they actually hosted fika for us. That's a longer story, but anyways, but they do love their coffee. And if you're not a coffee drinker before you go, you might be by the time you get done. So
yeah, but the fika is a lot about the break and being together, and everyone does it in the workplace and at home. And it's just a chance to kind of relax and spend time. And they don't like to talk about work. If they're in the workplace, it's just really to socialize and relax.
Yeah, and we actually tried to make it so it was a time to reconnect. I think that was the reason that I liked it as much as anything, just to as a way to check in, because you know, if I'm only teaching some of you, but I don't see you guys, maybe you're taking morning classes and I'm teaching in the afternoon. I really liked it as a way to connect with the students. Okay, we got a chat here. Let's see what the chat is. How many days a week in the classroom? Good question. So you're pretty much in the classroom all 5 days during the week, because we got to get the information to you that you got to be in class. But it might be the kind of thing, and again, the 3 faculty will work together on a schedule. You might be in class with me, say, every day for an hour and 45 minutes. But part of that might be discussion. It might be, we'll take a break in the middle of it to catch up on things. It might be that we need to do a field trip. And so we say, okay, this particular week, no classes on Wednesday, we're doing a field trip, but we'll have classes on Saturday. Or the Friday of the midsummer, the whole city shuts down. So obviously we won't have class on that Friday, but we might meet as a group on Sunday to make sure we've got some contact hours, because we want to make sure that the faculty have enough time with you teaching you content, but we also will do things like give you assignments that are due before you get there, and maybe even some assignments that are due when you get back. So we don't have to spend all the time, obviously, in the classroom. Jamie asked about the temperature in June. You want to be bringing your rain jackets and your sweatshirts and all that. That picture that I showed from the bat trip, you saw we were all wearing pretty warm jackets for that. So, but there will be time to swim too. So bring swimsuits too. Does that, Lauren, were you okay with my answer for how much we're in the classroom? Good, okay. All right, so on-site, Julie, you want to maybe talk about DIS? Because again, DIS is just very well equipped. So I'll let Julie talk about DIS's facilities.
So yeah, so we have a strong on-site staff support who is there to support your group. As Dr. Wee said, we also have other students who will be studying with us during the summer. We have an academic director who's there, and we have housing and student affairs. We have a 24-hour emergency phone. We have IT services, library, yeah, and there's lounges and study spaces within DIS. But we also encourage you to get out and about as much as you can to explore Stockholm. And one of the things with the weather, it's very light. As Dr. Wee said, they were out pretty late for the bat safari. And yeah, that I forgot what Dr. Henry, something about that song about the blackbirds singing in the middle of the night.
Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Yep. And
They
you
are.
wonder how he's singing in the dead of night, and it's because it's literally, you know.
Yeah, you'll stay
3
up
in the morning.
late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going then. So here's just, Julie was talking about this too, right? This is what this would be. It's very modern. DIS only, I mean, the music building's probably been around a while. I'm guessing that they remodeled or something, or is the building itself was new?
We moved in at the same time that the music school moved in.
Okay.
So it's a brand new building. So
Yeah,
really
very
nice.
modern, curves, lots of glass, but still warm, and cool is neat and stuff. Lots of study spaces right outside the classroom. You'd seen the picture within the classroom where Dr. Henry was teaching and Ben had his arm up, right? But that was, this, and these are the classrooms right here all along the way, right? All of these windows are the classrooms. So just very nice facilities. Okay, so Sienna and Julie, I might let you jump in with whatever you want to say about COVID stuff. Again, I think some of these pictures were just showing that people were able to spread out a little bit. Was that, Julie? Do you want to?
Yeah, so right now, Sweden has taken a different approach to COVID, and many things still stay quite normal. They're quite normalized. They're definitely doing the social distancing, but they're not wearing masks. And I think as the US is seeing a spike in cases, so is Sweden right now. And the government continues to make different policies to, work with that and ask, the population not to use public transportation if they can avoid it, or go during less crowded times. We're all excited about the vaccine, which will be soon distributed, and hopefully we're not as concerned about a lot of the things that we are now. DIS currently has in-person classes in Copenhagen, but we don't in Stockholm this semester. We are renting out our space to the music school, so they've been in classes at DIS, and again, kind of spreading them out. I can't say the word suddenly, but yeah. So, and if this is still an issue next June, which we hope it's not, we'll continue the protocols that we have in place for the upcoming semester and what we're using in Denmark, with space between students, cleaning protocols, and then we have a lot in place this fall, and it hasn't been a problem with students being flexible and adhering to whatever practices that we ask them to adhere to for safety and good practice.
Yeah, and from the Tulane side of things, as Dr. Wee said, the official decision will be made in sometime February or March about whether the program can run or not. So we're all very optimistic, you know, all of the news about the vaccine, it just depends on the timing, but that's roughly when Tulane will make the decision.
And just to follow up on that one too, I was told will make it before you would be registering for fall classes.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
before you're registering for fall classes and before you'd register for spring classes or summer classes rather. So if it were the case that that the classes had to be canceled, some of us would, like I would probably teach brain and behavior as a class, you know, on either online or in person or something. I know Dr. McLean and I had talked about maybe one of his classes would as well. So I think you will know enough to be able to plan, hopefully good, but if not good, at least you'd have some kind of a plan. We don't want to leave students in the lurch either. So.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the financials. Again, this is a picture taken in one of the train stations, train stops. This is right near DIS itself. And then, you know, the classic horses of Sweden. So again, Sienna, I don't know if you want to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really great deal because it's roughly the cost of the summer school classes, but now your housing is included. You have everything we talked about before. Definitely reach out to financial aid and talk about if you have any loans or scholarships that can transfer over the summer, but ultimately it is a really great deal. What is not included are flights, and you know, don't buy tickets now. The application isn't even due yet. In terms of passports, if you need to renew your passport or if you haven't gotten one yet, definitely start that process now, regardless of whether this program will or won't run, just because it is taking a little bit longer to do all the in-person stuff. And we have a whole like how to get a passport 101 document that I can send. Just reach out to me and I can send it to you. And meals not on excursions, you know, like Dr. Wee was saying, you know, we can cook. I'm a really great home cook. I'll help you learn. It's my favorite hobby. But yeah, let me see. We do have some need-based scholarships. When you're on the application and you are applying, it's going to be the easiest scholarship application you'll do in your life. It's a checkbox that says, you know, can I release my financial aid information to the Office of Study Abroad? You click yes, and that's automatic entry into our need-based scholarships. We do encourage students to look for outside funding as well. And I can also send you a list of kind of all of a really great place to look for outside scholarships.
Any questions about this one? And I know there's some parents on the call, which you guys don't be embarrassed if your parents are there. They may be helping pay for this. So do any of the parents have any questions? I still pay for my kids. Don't act like this goes away when they turn 21. I'm waiting for their frontal lobes to develop too. So, you know, that was a neuro joke, sorry. Moms, dads listening in, anybody have any questions? You guys, obviously you can send us an email later. We're happy to answer it too. So, oh, I guess the last slide is then if you guys have any questions. I think that's, and there also Zoe and Ian are great DIS partners as well. They've helped a lot with. Zoe was just phenomenal in terms of making some of the connections and stuff too. So here's some Copenhagen and some Stockholm. The Three Crowns is a real classic image that you'll see of Stockholm because in the city hall they have that. So. Let me stop sharing just for a little bit and see what you guys, you know, have questions on, anything you want to ask. Are you excited about it? Well, but I clearly didn't take much to get me going. But,
Yes.
Anna wrote, do the class credits count as 2-lane or transfer? No, they are 2-lane classes. You are taking 2-lane classes from your 2-lane instructors. So there's no issue of transfer or anything like that. So what have you heard? Do you guys know people that have gone abroad in our programs? Did you know some of the pictures of any of those students? Ellie was in the one where she's standing in the narrowest street. in Gamlistan. And I know some of you guys had hoped to study abroad this year. I'm not going to single out who I'm talking about, but they know who I'm talking about. That you didn't get to go. And so I'm sad you didn't get to go, but we'd love to have you come with us. I'm just saying. Do people typically go with friends or individually is a question that I got, which is a great question. I love that question. I would say most kids go and they don't know anybody until they go. Okay. There are cases, and I'm going to single out Jamie and Joan already know each other, right? But so if they're both going to go, that would be great, but they already know somebody. But I would say in the past, when we've done these programs, most students do not know anybody else. But boy, it doesn't take long before they're best friends. And I got to tell you, I will walk around campus or in Audubon Park, and I'll see students hanging out together that did not know each other before the program started, and now they're best friends. They learn that they like running together, they like having coffee together. And we do a lot of stuff as a group where you sort of will have many opportunities to make other friends. But I will say, for any of you who feel like, well, you want to go off on your own and do that, to explore on your own, as long as you're safe, right? We want you to be safe. But we've had students that don't want to be part of the group. You know, there'll be this mass of, and no offense to the women, but that's who it is, right? There'll be this mass of like 15 girls that, for women that want to be hanging out together, which is like the worst way to ever meet a Scandinavian, because they're not going to come talk to a group of 15. And so one or two will go off on their own, and they'll start telling stories about, yeah, we were having coffee and these people started talking to us. Or, you know, you get most of your best, I think you get some of your best adventures when you do go off on your own as a group of one or two or three. I also got to tell you, the museums are phenomenal. You can just spend time going to the museums. You can get some people together to go kayaking. You can go hiking. There's just so many things to do where you don't have to be that big group of people all hanging out together. And then you will see everybody in classes. You'll see them, you know, in the housing area. You'll see them on some of the activities that we do. So, you know, I don't think anybody has, I've never seen people feel like, oh, I was lonely, I was homesick. It's only 4 weeks. It's a pretty intense time. I mean, you are working, you're doing your school work, but yet you're doing these other adventures. And we really try to incorporate as much as we can. I will say this, you definitely have to figure out a way to use your time wisely. Yes, you're limited to only 2 classes. You wouldn't want more than 2 classes, but there is a bit of a time management issue that's probably the biggest thing there. I would say 80% of the students get it with no problem. They know that they're there to take these 2 classes, to do well in the classes, and also to go and have some adventures and see the city and all that kind of stuff. There's definitely some students that go in there, they're like, oh, we're going to Stockholm for 4 weeks. And oh, by the way, we're taking a couple classes. They learn pretty early that you blow it off, you're gonna get behind. Okay, so we definitely want students to understand that these are, you know, all 3 of us are teaching class material for what we would teach if we were back on campus. In a different way though, right? Dr. Norton might say, here's a bunch of physics problems that you have to do. He might give you some in advance to start working on it. He may decide, okay, we're going to spend the time in class simply doing problems, and you read the text on your own, and we're going to spend time in class doing the problems. Or Dr. McLean may say, okay, today we're going to the Natural History Museum, and you're going to learn all these different organisms that we talked about in class, but I'm going to have you read about them in class so we can use our time to go to the museum, right? So again, we try to mix things up a little bit so you're still learning the information, but in maybe a different structure than what you'd get in just coming to class. Are there any weekends with time for traveling in other parts of Europe? Another great question, and the answer is no, because of the 4 weeks. We absolutely encourage before and after. And I know that there have been cases where students have gone where their return was not, you know, if it ends on July 11th, maybe they were returning to the US on July 20th. So they figured when they got over there, they would then plan some kind of excursion, maybe with people that they meet on the program, often with people they meet on the program. And then they just figured out from there. So Yeah, but within the 4 weeks, we really don't want students running off, partly because we want to have the flexibility to, schedule a Saturday activity on our own, or maybe have class on Saturday because we took Wednesday off. These are great questions.
To the minimum amount of
Yeah.
people needed for the program to run question, it's with the amount of people in this chat, the program would run. And we also have the people who deferred from last year who are still planning on participating. So I want to say it's somewhere around 20 people. So I wouldn't be too skittish about that number right now.
Would be the minimum?
Yeah.
Yeah. When we won one year, we had almost 40 that went, which was too much. So yeah. I think, and I know we need a certain number of students going for us to teach the classes, but these are all classes that students want. And so that's partly how we put the classes together, right? These are classes that you guys need or you want to take. But that's a good question too. And we would totally let you guys know. I would almost say err on the other side, which is if you really want to go, don't wait too long. Because at some point, when we had 42, we were just like, got to cut it off, right? Now I think not all 42 went that year, maybe 40 went, but it was a big group. So So what makes you guys interested in this program? You guys are here, obviously, so everybody's so shy. How about you, Dr. Norton? Why do you want to do this program?
I want to get over there and just see the sights and teach again and have the interaction with the students. I miss that. I miss the interaction. I do. I'll be honest. Yeah.
It seems like a good time to knock out a few credits and then also spend a lot of time in another country, which I haven't done.
Good.
Everyone's so shy. You won't be shy by the end. I was actually hoping some of the prior participants might have come, because you usually can't get them to stop talking about it. So, I think it's a good, we started this program, and I should say this, we started doing this because our science kids were not able to study abroad during the regular academic year. We found so many, and I love it that some of you will, and we have had students that have gone on this program maybe the summer after their freshman year, and then they study abroad their junior year. So we totally have had that. But again, because of COVID, students weren't able to go, but also because with the pre-med requirements, and some people are RAs in the dorm, or they're on athletics, or they're involved in student organizations, any number of reasons why they can't go for a whole semester. Yet this way, they're taking classes from Tulane faculty. There's no issue of transfer. And I got to tell you, the very best thing of all of this in terms of student interaction is when I know students on these programs, it doesn't end when we all come back. It is so wonderful to see students on campus after we've all gotten back. And it's kind of, the little joke would be, you could just see somebody and say, Fika, and everybody knows what Fika is, right? Or when we went to Copenhagen, you say Huga, and they knew exactly what that was, right? I'm probably not saying it right? But you form a relationship with the students in ways that we'll never get just having them in the class, right? You might be riding on a train together, you're on a ferry, you're getting stuck in a really bad rainstorm, and you're laughing to talk about it later, right? That you have these experiences with students that are you just don't get them in the classroom. And when it comes time to writing letters of recommendation, I don't just write they got an A in my class. I can write, I saw their leadership skills in the group. I saw how they interacted with each other. I know that they struggled with things but managed to meet the challenges. Whatever it is, I really get to know the students a whole lot more on this program. And to me, that's just one of those things that you guys will form relationships with people in ways that you can't even imagine. And I really think that's probably the biggest perk that I get from teaching in this program. Other questions or comments or concerns, or you ready to sign up right away? Sienna, is it open? Can they sign up?
Yeah, you can go on our website and start an
Okay.
application now. It's not too long, it's not too bad. But yeah, you can just chip at it over winter break. You have time now. Finally, that finals are over. Congrats. But yeah, you can go ahead and start applying.
The awkward silences. So what do you guys think? Is this good? Are you stoked? Jamie's like, I don't know. I see Dr. Reed too much as it is. I met Jamie his freshman year. And how long did it take me to remember your name? Like forever.
Well, I never took a class with you until sophomore year.
Yeah.
And I would just recognize you around and see you around.
Yeah. I'd say hi to him. It's like, nice kid. I can't remember what his name is. Finally, when I had him for class, then it's like, okay, I know his name is. So, and then Jonah showed up with him while we were walking across campus, about a month ago, and they were there. So, Olivia, you look familiar. Have I talked to you before?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you might be my new best friend after the program. So. Now, Whitney, you look like a mom. Are you a mom? This picture on her, or is that a stolen? She snuck
I'm
out.
totally a mom.
Okay, so what do you have questions, Mom? You are not the only parent that was on there. Somebody's dad was in the background. I saw before they blinked out.
Oh, good. Well, I just wanted to hear about it. Anna did not get to do her senior trip or her high school trip because they didn't have enough participation. So that's why that question I posed. It was very disappointing that she did not get to do her trip. So, and then her schedule is so tight that this is about the only thing she can squeeze in.
So as a mom, of course, you're going to represent every parent of every student in this call. Do you feel like we're answering questions that parents are comfortable with?
I think so. I'm glad I tuned in and I wasn't getting bits and pieces from Anna. So yeah, it sounds great. Sounds like a wonderful experience.
That does bring up a question or a comment. Students, before we go, we will have a couple pre-departure meetings to really talk specifics, okay? The idea is that you share that information with your parents, because this idea that a parent's like, study abroad, when did this program start? You know, the kid's already packing to go. So we do want you to share the information with your parents. Things like, yes, I do need a passport, and don't forget that plane ticket, and here's the date I'll be coming home, and here's the day I need to go to the airport. So, but yeah, we will have at least 2 sessions, potentially virtual, or ideally we'll be in person, just to have you guys meet each other. You know, one of the things I always say is when you get off the plane, put on your Tulane shirt, because there's probably other Tulane, you know, people in the program that way you can recognize each other, and we'll figure out ways to make sure that we you know, can have you get to Biz Apartments. We'll probably meet you part way or something like that. Well, we're going to work all those bugs out. But it is nice when you can, even if students tell us when their flights are coming in, we can let everybody know in case you are on the same flight, which is always nice to travel with somebody. So going back to the question, you know, do people know people when they go? Sometimes they meet at our information sessions, and that's how they recognize somebody who's going to be on the program, and that's a way to have them go as well too. So other questions from students, from parents in the background?
I have a question.
Sure, Brooklyn, go ahead.
What do students say about taking the lab separate from the class? Is it hard or is it pretty doable for physics? Sorry.
Okay, for physics, the labs are actually set up to be separate. Okay, they're not connected in to the lecture. One thing that would be nice is you will have had all the lectures for all the material that's going to be covered in the lab. So in the fall, you would sign up for a lab and just take a lab with everybody else during the fall. But you'll already have your lecture material already done.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, you really do have an advantage because you've had all the physics. So I will do another comment. Jamie, sorry to keep picking on you, but Jamie's already had physics, right? Didn't you take it last summer? So you've got a tutor right there, right? You got Dr. Norton, who's great, and then you got Jamie, who for chocolate will probably help you with some physics problems.
I'm actually currently taking it, but I'll have it finished by.
Okay, so he will have finished it, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many of you guys have already had brain and behavior? Yeah, so right, so a couple of people have already had brain and behavior. So if you happen to be taking brain and behavior, you got people that can right. Look at all these hands, right? So you got people that can help you if you're taking brain and behavior, or diversity of life. Some of you guys might have already had diversity of life, so that's another way to be able to help. Yeah. Jamie's gonna just be the all-around tutor, right? Jamie, you'll never have to cook. See, you just one person gets physics help, you get dinner. Somebody else gets e-bio help, you get dinner the next day. So you could have a deal. And Sienna's going to teach us all how to cook anyways, so. When are applications due? Sienna, is there a deadline? It's usually March 1st, but.
Yeah, I think we're sticking with March 1st. So you've got a lot of time between now and then, but might as well get started.
And what's the thing they apply, and then when is the deposit due? Is that due at the same time? How does that?
The deposit is usually due at the time you submit it, but if there's a reason you need it to be deferred, you can always contact us and we can work something out.
And if the program wouldn't go, you'd get the money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking to see in like the application?
Whether it's for summer or it's for the whole semester, we want all of the pieces there. The hardest thing is when a student has a really good application, but then they just missed a section. Or if you just don't do an essay, or if you just don't fill something out, that's the part where, that makes it hard to approve. So definitely just complete everything. That's the top thing I'm looking for.
Does the application have we had a couple questions one year where we asked them what they want to get out of the program. Is that part of the application? I have to admit, I haven't looked at it more recently.
I think it still is, I want to say. If it's probably a very short essay question, Our semester ones are only like 300 words. So it won't be too bad.
I think, Olivia, what we want students to understand is that this is really not a 4-week vacation in Stockholm. Because like I said, I must have taught, I've been doing this, 3, 5, I've done 5 trips. So let's say we've had 100 kids that I personally taught, and that might be a low number, right? I would say 95% of them are great. They have a wonderful experience. They do well in their classes. They really see a lot. Their regret is that they wish the program was longer. That's usually what we hear the most. But there's always that 5% that just don't take it seriously. And we want to, it's not that we don't want you to go on the program if you're not taking it seriously, but we want you to know if you're not taking this seriously, you're probably not going to get an A in your class, and you're probably, there's going to be issues, and we want to avoid the issues. So we're really looking for those students who want to learn the science, but also want to get something out of the program in terms of culturally. We've had some students, again, I don't understand this, that they're like, oh, I'm just going to spend all the time studying. You're like, no, we don't want you spending all the time studying, right? There's great museums, there's great food, there's great wilderness stuff, right? So we're looking for that person that's really going to make a nice blend of, yeah, I'm taking my work seriously, and look how well it fits with the location of where I am. I mean, Dr. McLean's teaching a class on marine biology, right? You can't get more marine biology than all these islands, and I didn't even start to show you all the archipelago. There's got to be 1,000 islands in this archipelago. That's marine biology at its finest, right? Why would you not go to a marine area to take marine biology, right? So that you really are going to put together the academic as the place where you are. You're going to the Nobel Prize Museum and you're learning about the neuroscientists that got the Nobel Prize, including the people that came to Tulane 2 years ago and gave the lecture about his Nobel Prize, right? So that's really what we're looking for. Students that are going to be engaged in the program and get out of it what we hope they get out of. So Olivia, does that help? I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's really what we're looking for.
Definitely. Thank you.
Well, it's almost 3 my time, so I am happy to stick around. I love seeing all your faces, and including Brooklyn. I think there was a dad behind or somebody behind at one point. I'm just picking on you, right?
Yeah,
So
my dad was sitting next to me.
if he's got questions, I'm happy to answer his as well too. So, you know, and the other thing that's cool, I think that's interesting about Stockholm and Sweden is they have very interesting ideas just about, you know, they actually have a term that there's a word for he, there's a word for she, and then there's that in-between word. They're probably one of the most progressive countries in the world in terms of sort of sexual identity and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting because you learn about sort of European politics. I've never watched the BBC more, except when I was, you know, there. I mean, you're getting outside your comfort zone, yet in some level you realize that everybody speaks English and it's really easy to get around. So I think that those are, again, some other intangibles that you're only going to appreciate once you get over there.
Yeah.
So I hope you get to talk to some of the students who've gone before, because they may give you ideas of places, you know, must-see places to go. Sienna, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of intangibles, just gains you get from study abroad. It's one of the biggest resume boosters we see. Just to have done it, you learn a lot about how to navigate differences, whether cultural or interpersonal, and you really do get a huge amount of just growth and understanding of who you are and who you are in a larger global context. So the classes are great, but you will learn everywhere.
And we're fun too, aren't we, Dr. Norton and Dr. McLean?
We are. We have a good time.
Julie, anything else you want to add?
From when I go back to Tulane and I see you walking around campus, there is a special bond that I feel the faculty and the students create, and that's really special. Because you are in this other country, getting a great class, but in another culture and society where you're learning a lot and learning how to navigate that. And so that's incredible. A lot of good music too in Stockholm.
You guys good? All right, I did one screenshot. I'm going to save it because I might, you know, show this back when we all get to the point of being everybody's buddies. We were like, oh yeah, back then when we hardly knew each other. Jonah, you good? All right, good. Okay, and Sydney and Anna and Lauren and Aditi, is that your name? I'm not seeing you, but I hope I do see you in Stockholm or on campus in the spring.
Thanks, Dr. Wee.
All right, bye guys. Everybody have a great holiday and definitely get some rest over the break because you all deserve it.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.